Hello YouTube. This is BalorMage, and I'm bringing you the first, we're gonna call it a build update rather than a build guide for Undecember. So this is basically just like a catalog of what I've actually done. You can see in the background, I'm playing an electric Sentry build. It is basically, for my audience from PoE, it is basically lightning arrow ballista totems. I went into this game completely blind, played around with a few abilities, picked something I liked and went with it, and I'm now level 81. I'm doing tier 7 maps with a tier 13 chaos statue, for those who are familiar with Undecember. So you can see in the background, it's some incredibly chill gameplay. I'm very much enjoying the build. You just run through, place sentries down, sentries kill everything. When you get stuff that's incredibly dangerous, if you're like undergeared or in trouble somewhere, or you've rolled a super difficult dungeon, you can always hide around corners. You can do all sorts of things, drop totems around corners. The totems tank for you. Even on bosses, there's extra mobs around or extra me's around, my little totems, that act as distractions, so the bosses hit them a bunch instead of me. So far it's been great. It's not quite Toxic Flame. We are going to get into the build in just a second here, but I do want to stress a few things. One, I'm missing at least 2 abilities that are Synthrunes that I want, that I do not have. And 2, I am not an expert at this game. We've only been playing it for about 11 days. This is the build as I've done it so far, but this isn't like PoE. I don't know that I'm doing all of the right things. I don't know that I'm being as optimal as possible. And if there are ways for me to improve the build and somebody watching has experience, absolutely let me know, because I am open to all things right now. This is just how mine has gone. So here we are in game. Here's my little BalorMage character, level 81. And let's look at skills first. I don't know what the order we should be doing this sort of thing is, because I'm new to the game, but skills first. You can see my skill thing is quite empty. There are definitely 2 more skills I want that I don't have that are synth only. We'll go through those in a minute, but I do have a 6-link level 30 rare electric Sentry. We do have, what do we got? Quick attack, projectile acceleration, elite slayer, lightning pen, persistence, and multi-shot. I also have a projectile deceleration here when I go to do raids that ups my damage by quite a bit. I just swap out the multi-shot. Even when you're doing like bosses and raids that have ads, electric Sentry chains automatically anyway. So even if I lower the projectiles to 1, each Sentry, and there are 3 of them right now, soon to be 4, they all chain anyway. So we still do clear up ads really well with that. I have a level 1 piercing arrow equipped. This has 1 job and 1 job only, and it's so that I can shoot arrows directly at a loot goblin. Because it doesn't matter how much damage you do to a loot goblin, you just need to hit it X amount of times. So sometimes the sentries are busy attacking packs of mobs and I just want to make sure we don't lose the sentry. That's fine. I've got Bulwark of Protection, which is just a button to press to take less damage for a little bit, because I'm not res capped. My bad. We'll get res capped soon. I've been slacking on the gear. And we've got Roll, because it's the smoothest movement skill, linked to Disarm so that I can roll more often, and Teleport linked to use count so that I just have a way to cross over gaps. This doesn't need to be there. That does nothing. And we've got our +1 rune level here. And that is all we currently have. That's the entire set of skills, which is not fantastic. Now, if we go to the compendium and we go for green supports, what I am after is, where are you? There we go. Multi-sentry support. I would like to swap my projectile acceleration support for multi-sentry. This will let me put down 1 more sentry at a time each time I click. It'll also give me 1 maximum sentry. So that's pretty big. It does have a 20% dampening on it at level 1, but I expect that to get significantly smaller, as well as I'll be able to make it rare pretty quickly, so it'll have quite a decent amount of increased damage as well. And the counter to the dampening is that there's one more total Sentry. So I only have 3 sentries right now. So adding in multi-sentry is basically 33% more with a 20% dampening. So even at level 1, that's 13% more damage. And if I can lower that to, even if I don't know how it goes with levels, but even if I get it down to like 10% dampening or something, then I'm looking at 23% more damage. Now, this is not a crit build right now. I did try out crit. I tried very hard. We spent nearly $1 million gold trying to be crit. It just wasn't better. I suspect maybe in the early 90s, we get good enough gear to go crit. And if we do, I'll be trying that. We also would like one of these defense seals. I don't mind whether it's the armor or the resistance one, but there again, magic only. So I don't have any of them, which means I have no aura currently. The one question that I have that I'm not positive about the answer to, and we will go through all of these in just a moment, but the one question that I have is modify this node in my ascendancy. It didn't give me that much damage. It was okay, but it wasn't that much. And I do wonder if this applies attack enhance skill rune effects on sentries. I do wonder if that makes the offensive seals, of which I don't own any yet anyway, but if that makes the offensive seals work on my sentries, then this is how this should be. And I should drop modify, leave the rest of this, drop modify, and pick up attack tactics. So that's that. That's all the skills. Our stat breakdown is a little heavier on the strength than we are on the dex. I'm probably only ever getting this dex to about 200, and all the rest will be pumped into strength. Nothing in int, absolutely nothing. All of our gear is also hybrid, so we are going for a armor and defense style. So I got 2700 armor now, which is a little bit low, 2700 dodge, which is a little bit low, but we will be stacking some more of both of them as we move on. I found hybrid to feel the best. Try it out if you really like straight armor more. There's no reason why you can't wear most of it as straight armor. Gear. Now, resistances are a little harder on this character than they have been for other characters that I have seen, because I have a sentry neck and 2 sentry rings. These things don't even roll resists, so that is 3 straight up pieces of jewelry that I just do not get resists on. They do roll decent sentry stats. Obviously, we don't want minions regenerate 1.2% of max life. We would prefer sentries regenerate, but that's what we got. And this ring, which is essentially nothing but minion damage. Some of my gear is pretty bad. Other important things. The Sea King's Brim was only about 50 rubies. I earned that by just selling chaos elements. It does give +2 to sentry rune level. That's amazing. Also, this bow, which I picked up for under 100 rubies, gives me +1 to sentry skill rune level and also +1 to simultaneous sentry count, which is currently the only reason that I'm placing 2 sentries down every time I place sentries. That's actually was huge, not just for like quality of life, but it halved my mana consumption, making mana super easy all of a sudden. And it makes it every time you want to run up to a pack, it annihilates that whole pack instead of dropping just 1 sentry that only hits half of it, and then you have to hit the other half. So really big on that weapon. Absolutely first purchase if you were building this build. I also crafted this chest on the air, I don't know what you call this, influence, that rolled some pretty good resistances, no life unfortunately, and +2 to sentry skill rune level. This can roll up to +3, but I haven't managed to get one yet, and so pretty good resists on it. I'm wearing it, it's very nice. That leaves me with a total of level 36 electric sentry, which is a large portion of how we're getting a lot of our damage, is just scaling that rune level right up. So a quick view over our traits is going to lead you to see everything exactly how you would expect. Every wheel has a sentry wheel. I have gone for mostly just offensive. Some sentry in number 2. When we go to number 3, which I always get lost at, there it is down here. This is where we get a tiny bit of sentry defense and a tiny bit of life for ourselves. That's great. over to 4. We started here, just like this. And later on, when we had too many points, we decided to, when we needed to spend a few more points to unlock the next area, I started filling out Petal. By now, I have Petal full, which is just a little bit of defense for me. A little bit of Ellie res and life, a little bit of poison res, a little bit of Ellie res and life, some life percent, some life percent. Seemed like pretty good use of my points. There are points while leveling up where you've spent everything you want in the tree, but you haven't unlocked the next tree yet. And you have to spend a few more points somewhere to get to the next like tree unlock. That's every time that happened, I came back and spent points in Petal to get a little bit of my own defenses. So we go from here to 5, which is again just straight down the Sentry damage route. When we eventually go crit, which I think will be in the 90s somewhere, we will have to do a bit of a respec and go into some crit nodes, but for now they're worthless and we do not want them. Then we're over to 6, which is up here. This one's actually quite a good one. We actually took all the way to here and then stopped. And we came back here after we filled in Petal. This is now the wheels that I'm filling in right now, where I've taken a little bit of resist and a little bit of attack speed, and I'm going to go attack speed with my next 2 levels. But you should stop here at Sentry amplification and then come back to that at a later date. Oh, and then what do we got? We got this wheel again, just Sentry damage, Sentry attack speed, everything exactly as you would expect. This is another wheel that we had to fill in at another point where we needed more points to progress our tree forward. And the most efficient points that I could find, Chaos Res is by far the hardest res to come across. There's no way I'm going to be Chaos Res capping my character, at least not at my current gear levels. I will be able to res cap the rest of them, but not Chaos. Chaos is the hardest to get, so I just decided to take this Chaos wheel, and then I had 2 more points, so I took some physical dampening as well. For those who don't know, dampening is the equivalent of less in PoE. So dampening is less, amplification is more. Same thing. So that's quite nice. That is 7. We're moving on to 8, which is down here, where we just took our shock wheel, and that's it. Again, if we were crit, we would be wanting to take this wheel as well, but we are not crit. That is a level 90 plus problem. Ascendancies are pretty simple. +1 max sentry count, damage amplification, pretty much a must here. Over into the next one here, we do have damage amplification and overpower sentry. Those are musts for sure. And I'm not positive about these 2 nodes, to be honest. I know that I would take these ones if I was crit. This one might make some of my defensive stuff that I don't own yet affect my sentries as well. So that might be quite useful when I get one of those skills unlocked. Sharpness doesn't look like it affects me at all, or at least it doesn't affect the sentries. And as far as I can tell, attack speed amplification also wouldn't affect the sentries. So there's not much else for us here unless we were crit. So I just took these 2 nodes to be defensive. And then we moved up here, and we've already been through this one where I'm not positive that modify was the correct choice here, and that there's a pretty decent chance that attack tactics does what I think it does, which is when I get one of my toggle runes or my auras finally from synthesizing them, I will take this node instead, and then those auras will also affect the sentry because they don't by default. As far as gearing goes, I absolutely think going crit is troll below level 90, so we just don't do that, which just means I've rolled sentry damage and sentry attack speed wherever I can. We're just looking for sentry damage, sentry attack speed on as much things as we can, sentry rune levels on as much things as we can, and then just our own defenses. And so far, it's been an absolute breeze to play. I absolutely love this build. I have no idea how powerful it is compared to other builds that are similarly geared, because I am also somewhat brand new to the game. So I have no points to compare it to. I have not played the game before. This is my first character. But I am so far absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. We will probably do another update of the build when I figure out how to go crit, because I am level 81 now. So we're moving into higher level gear. We definitely need level 90 gear at a minimum to be able to roll enough crit chance stuff. But I don't know how that change is going to go yet. So that's the build. That's what I'm playing right now. Still a fantastic game. I'm having a ball. Probably not going anywhere for at least a few weeks. We're gonna keep doing this, and I will see everybody later. Goodbye.